Hello, this is Stephen Dupree of NowEnergetics.com, based on Yuen Method and the power of neutrality. I have a new article here that has been out for a little while. I don't think I didn't make a video of it right away, but it's a very common thing that we discuss. And I call it Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. It's really about knowing and being neutral to truth. And it comes up more often than you'd expect because most people are not living in truth. If they have a problem or a bother, it means they don't know the truth. If they knew the truth, it would, strengthen the situation and make some kind of improvement. So, and, this is kind of a common quote that comes up in many sessions. And people are often bothered by what they consider someone lying to them or untruths, that type of thing. And this is something that you really need to clear and get neutral to, because most of the time what people tell you that is true is really not true, or they may think it's true, or they may just be parroting some consensus. But whether it's true or not true in your particular situation, you have to check the energy. And that's really what the bottom line is. So what is the truth? So most of us would say that they don't like to be lied to. And more likely, it's the information that bothers us more than whether the particular statement or is true or not true. So it's the fact that we're judging whether it's true or not true, and there's a struggle with that duality of what's true or not true. We don't want to accept either one, really, and there's a struggle there. And that's very common for most people to be struggling with truth, and that's why they don't improve sometimes when they get strengthened. So in general, when I went to profile this in terms of the energetic defect of lying, and I took a random group of people, and it seems to come up about 5 times more if someone tells us directly. So it energetically affects us 5 times more if we are told something, and it's 3 times more if we hear it, and 2 times more if we read it. So there's many different ways that these things can affect us, and we sometimes have to look at many, many layers and aspects of how something can affect us, and then we work from the kind of the worst effect to the least effect in our clearing, or we could just clear them all at the same time, sort of abstractly. So, and what prompted this article really was a session that, I've done many sessions where we clear, neutrality to truth. And this was a very interesting session of, in terms of what came up, because the person was brought up, that people, there was an issue with lying, let's say, people lying. So this article is more or less the interaction between myself and the client. So we can go over that now. So I noticed in their energy right off the bat that wasn't the issue. So that's why, I asked them straight up, if someone lies to you, would it bother you? And of course, the client would say that it really bothers them, but that's not the weakness. So believe it or not, just the opposite was weak when someone tells them the truth. And you'd be surprised at how many people in the general population really, they kind of really don't want to know the truth. So there's an article that I wrote some time ago. It's on the Power of Neutrality website, called When Knowing is Painful. So a lot of people want to sidestep the truth because in general, the person in general has energy that's supporting the other side of the equation. They really don't want to know the truth. So they can say one thing that's coming out of their mouth, but really their underlying energy is that when they knew the truth, it was more painful than not knowing the truth. So their energy is sort of attracting those situations, because that's basically how their unbiased energy is kind of in deception. And that's what they attract, and that's what they complain about, but that they want to know the truth, but really their energy is on the opposite side of things. So, and what came up with this person is their ancestors had past experiences that was really knowing something really was not a good experience. Knowing the truth can sometimes be a very painful experience. So that actually was creating a problem for this person to actually acknowledge, accept, and recognize and shift when they were given, basically the truth, which is the weaknesses that we find. So, and they were doing various coping mechanisms. This is the part of the session where I sort of went over the coping mechanisms that they were using out of the 6 in this order. And the problem with coping mechanisms is it's just like a pile of dirt that gets bigger over time, and eventually that is going to come back with a vengeance at some point in the future. So we want to delete, we want to strengthen and find the weaknesses, and then we want to delete the cumulative effects so that we don't create some pile of dynamite that's going to explode at some point in the future. So because if your energy is on that side that it keeps attracting the deceptions, it's just going to create a much, a bigger and bigger energetic block to clear. And it gets worse over time when you're stuck in a wrong answer kind of situation. So, and then, part of the session was the person logically thinking, shouldn't people be expected to tell the truth, that shouldn't be lying to people, that kind of thing. But when we think of the problem of deception, it's really the other person's problem. We would say, we make it our problem, but it's really the other person's problem if they're hiding the truth from us or they're keeping secrets or something like that. That's really their problem to solve, and we don't want to create more energy for them. We want to be neutral as possible to this type of situation. So it's hard to explain to a lay person that to have some neutrality about this, but this is really what's going to energize a new experience instead of attracting the same experience time after time, which is sort of the deception, the hiding, the lying kind of experiences that they experience in their lives. So, and I kind of go over this here. It's not a kind of a philosophical thing here. It's really what the energy is telling us. And we want to strengthen what we find, and things that we find very often, that there are many layers to this type of thing that go into ancestral change and karmic effects, things like that, that have to do with, punishment or things that happened in the past, that sort of thing. So it's really important to follow the weakness and find things that are primary, that are usually going to be in the person's own experiences and maybe in their ancestors, that sort of thing. So that's very important. One of the things that I, presented to the person from their energy is that, and to convince them that lying was sort of the other person's problem is, if you take 2 random people and you saw person A lying to person B, you would say that it's person A's problem, but in your own situation, you take it on as if it's your problem, that the lying is your problem for some reason. And you take on that energy, and then it just, creates, attracts, or perpetuates that problem over and over. So it's really important to, acknowledge that we're creating the problem by our own energizing of the not knowing, the deception, the lying, whatever, by our own energy. So that's really important to get. So here the client finally understands it's not really their problem, but it's a hard concept to grasp. And I would agree with that for most people. It's a hard concept, the neutrality of this. And our neutrality more likely is going to change the situation. If we're not energizing that side, we're more likely that people will not try to deceive us, because we're not energizing that. We're not giving them, we're not projecting out that energy that it's okay to deceive us. And whether the person is, intentionally deceiving us, many people just don't know the truth. They say what they believe or what they know, but it may be true or not true. They think it's true, but it's the point is that it's not intentional, right? So that's kind of this area here. And I kind of talk about this here. There's a lot of people that are misled by information that are more or less, and I say this down somewhere down here somewhere where, people are just parroting information at some point. They were taught one thing and they parrot the information, but they really, eh, you know, they believe it's true and they tell you it's true, but it may or may not be the truth. So we shouldn't take it personally, especially, the parrots, people that are parroting information that, they don't have any direct experience, but they're just, they read it in a book or they were taught it. So we have to be kind of neutral to that, that whole experience of the parrots, I would say. And, I kind of say this here, people lie to us every day because they simply don't know the truth. They're parroting information or whatever. They simply don't know the truth. So that's the point of not taking it personally. We just want to strengthen whatever we find and make sure we're neutral to that whole situation of true or not true. So that's the bottom line. So the other thing is to get to, go to neutral to the extremes of the lie extreme here and the truth extreme. So in a lot of cases, if you go to the two extremes of everyone lies to you versus everyone tells you the truth, the thing that goes weak usually is the truth side. So it's not what people would expect. So that's important to go through the exercise, because when you go through the exercise of looking at the extremes of a neutrality and you see what actually is weak, that's usually a surprising piece of information, because it's telling you probably the opposite of what you thought it was. And that's why there was no improvement, because you were on the opposite side of the energetic weakness, right? You were energizing the undesired state, let's say. And like it said before, most people actually go weak to hearing, knowing, accepting truth, and they would just rather not know. So they kind of push it away, or they attract the opposite, is really what's happened. So, and we all know that there's some expressions like the truth hurts and things like that, and cliches that really has an energetic effect and imprint that, people may not be aware of. So the other thing that Dr. Yuen talks about a lot is that, whatever people complain about is bringing a story about something affecting them in their lives. One of the things he mentions that's very much a truism, and I would say a Yuenism, is if it bothers you, you did it. So you have to look at your own karmic effects and influences that you've done these things. So if it bothers you to deceive someone or to mislead someone, that someone's doing that to you, it's because you've done that to someone else, or your ancestors have done it. So it's important to look at your own experiences and the karmic effects of your ancestors that may be in your energy, in your spirit, and things that you need to clear. And those will be usually very, very big clearings for most people. So we talk a little bit here about the herd consensus. That kind of goes along with what I mentioned earlier, that what we have mostly in the science community for sure is a lot of opinions of not direct experience, and things that we learn that we parrot that may or may not be true, and certainly they change over time for sure. Kind of set what I call settled beliefs here that we've been taught, and we parrot that. But we're not, whether it's true or not true, there's a measure of truth that isn't in whether it's written in a book or not. It's whether the energy tells you it's true or not true. One of the things that people would say would be a falsehood is that there's no such thing as immediate results. So we know we get immediate results all the time. So you certainly can get immediate results in the negative sense. So it's silly to think you can't get immediate results in the positive sense as well. So it works in both directions, but we think it only works in one direction. Something can go completely wrong in like 1 second, but it can never improve in 1 second. It's going to take 2 weeks to improve, but it can immediately fall off the cliff. So we have to get rid of that notion that we can't get a positive immediate result. So let's just put that right in this video here. Let's just clear to neutral that whole expectation that you can have a bad immediate result, but you can't have a good immediate result. So let's just strengthen that. And, forget about the search engines, pretty much. So you have to check these things energetically, whether they're true or not true. And they may be true in your situation, and they may be not true in someone else's situation. So it's not true doesn't mean an absolute truth. It's true in the situation in that moment. So you're always checking the energy, and information often weakens a lot of people too. Beyond whether something's true or not true, the information effect is all about people are weak to information in general. It doesn't matter if it's true or not true. So, so you want to be neutral to information, and because there's a lot of wrong answers out there, and Google's cache is filled with wrong answers that don't apply to your situation. So you want to be able to use energetic testing to know what is true or not true. So anyway, we finished up the session here, and the shift came when we were clearing true or not true. And that's really the neutrality of being in that state of not preferring or being biased to whether it's true, whether something is true or not true. So that's kind of the bottom line here. So the clearings really, you want to get neutral to information, true or not true. And you want to clear the notion, especially of things that are hidden. This person actually, when I checked their energy after the fact, they had another layer of weakness having to do with hidden things. So when you think of someone lying to you, a shade of that is someone's hiding something from you, and hiding something would be like keeping a secret. So that's the weakest thing in that pair there. It's hiding something, and then what goes weaker than that is actually secrets, keeping secrets. And that person's own energy, they haven't experienced keeping big secrets from other people, so they would complain that they don't like secrets, but it's actually the opposite. So another opposite. So, and it's the secrets, keeping secrets energy is about 10 times worse than lying. So just to show you how you can quickly profile and know kind of the direction you should go in and what you should clear first. So this is kind of a long article, maybe somewhat long-winded too, but this is an important area to explore, the true or not true neutrality, the notion of hiding things, of secrets. That's a very deep clearing for a lot of people, because people probably know less than 1% of what's really true. So there's a lot of hidden, and whether it's secret or not, or it's just you're not aware of it, it's still the same thing to your energy. You're only living in 1% truth in your life. That's it. You're gonna have a tough life. So you want to make sure you clear as many of these items as possible for yourself and for the clients that you work with. So these will be very big clearings for most people. And so that's Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next video.